Hello YouTube, it's Carter here, and today we have a review of the HTC One S from HTC. This is the mid-range device in their One lineup. There's the One V, the One S, and the One X. The One X is like the high-end one, and the One S is the mid-range, and the One V being the more budget model of the three. But this one here is actually, it's got some pretty high-end specs actually. It still has the same. Obviously, I can't get my code here. Okay, there we go. It has the same processor as the North American version, the Snapdragon S4. So, I mean, in that sense, it is more of a high-end phone. So, this phone has a 8-megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture and a 28mm wide-angle lens, with 720p HD recording, and a VGA front-facing camera. It's got a QHD AMOLED screen, so it's not 720p. It is 960 by 540. 1.5 GHz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4, which I mentioned. Android 4.0 with Sense 4. 16 GB of storage with 1 GB of RAM. 1650 mAh lithium-ion battery, non-removable. HSPA Plus, so no LTE on this device. And it has a... I also failed to mention that it has a 4.3-inch screen, so it's not quite as large as the One X screen, which some people might actually like. I do. I don't like massive screens. I prefer 4.3 is really the maximum size. So at the bottom here we have our three buttons. We got the home, the back, and the multitasking. Here we have the HTC. Down here we have Beats Audio. It's actually, the Beats logo kind of wore off, which I kind of like. I'm not a big Beats fan. Although this speaker is really good. I will talk about that in a minute. So we have our 8-megapixel camera, which actually takes some pretty nice pictures. With the flash, obviously, up here at the top we have our sleep-wake button, our headphone jack, noise cancellation microphone. We have our microphone, or our speaker here, our VGA front-facing camera, and we have a 4.3-inch display. So, I mean, like all HTC phones, the build is very, very nice. It's an aluminum build, anodized aluminum, so it feels really, really solid in the hand. So you can expect a really nice built phone. So if you are someone that tends to drop their phones a lot, this one might be for you, because it will hold up to your drops and whatever. So, actually, I'm going to talk about Sense 4 for a little bit. Historically, I have not liked Sense. The Sense 3 and the older versions of Sense, I have just not liked at all. Sense 4 really has changed some things. It makes it more useful than annoying. So what you can do now is, so we'll start off with the lock screen. You have this little thing, and then if you don't have a code, it will just go right into it. I do. But you can also launch apps here. So with camera, you can launch one. Also, if you get a notification, see, camera will actually launch without a passcode, which is also nice. Which actually is an in-stock Android, which is kind of nice. When you get a notification, you can move it down here and put it into that circle, and it's kind of nice. I've really enjoyed it. It's been nice to use. So next I will talk about the launcher. So the launcher, it's not bad. I mean, it's similar to most HTC launchers. I mean, you have your typical, drawer, much like stock Android. And then it has this little cool effect. One thing that really bothered me though was this. The icons are really spread out. It just looks like you could put another row of icons. But obviously, if you want to, you can absolutely put on your own launcher, download one from Google Play. But that is something to note. It's really annoying. Obviously, it's not a deal breaker, but it is something that did bother me. One also difference is that the way it handles multitasking, it doesn't handle it the same way as stock Android does. It's got these cards, which, I mean, I don't prefer this, but I don't hate it. It's not like it's annoying or anything. It's just different. So another thing that's changed in Sense 4 is the keyboard. I don't really like it. It's not my favorite keyboard. These little arrow keys are kind of useless. I've never found myself actually using them. And I didn't really like them because they take up screen real estate. So, bothered me, and the keyboard just isn't nice to type on. Some people won't mind it, but obviously, go to the Google Play Store, you can download some really nice keyboards. You can get stock Jelly Bean keyboards, or my personal favorite, Swift Key 3. But something to note, the keyboard is not my favorite at all. So menus and in settings are a little bit different now. They're handled, so you have this little thing, and when you pull up, it's got this little effect, which I kind of like. It adds some, something different to the phone. You also have these options to personalize it. There's difference between scenes and skins. Scenes are completely different. Skins, they change your layouts and stuff. But you can choose different, let's choose a skin here. So there's, there's aluminum, there's this matte finish. I like the aluminum actually, so I'm going to turn that one on just to show you. And we'll give you a different background. Obviously you can still change the background and change it however you want, but this is just kind of how the theme is going to work. There you go. So, you got this aluminum, and everything's aluminum. You'll find that on the browser, on the home, you'll find it on the HTC widget. So everything kind of changes, which is kind of cool. It kind of keeps a uniform look instead of all these different ones. So on the HTC One S, battery life was okay. I don't have an actual, I can't really tell you exactly how many hours you get out of it. I didn't do those tests, but it claims to have a 1650 milliamp hour battery, so not bad. It didn't quite get me through a whole day with using, with moderate usage, not heavy usage, but with moderate usage, it didn't quite get me through a whole day. But if you're usually near a power source, you should be fine. Conversely, the battery is non-removable, so that is definitely something to think. Because obviously, if your battery dies, what good is your phone? So something definitely to keep in mind when buying this device. So the display. So this is not a 720p display, but it is AMOLED. So this is something different between the One X. The One X has a Super LCD, but if you're like me and you just love AMOLED displays, I love them. The color reproduction is just amazing. And even though it's not 720p, it is really nice. Contrast is really nice, and I really enjoy this display. Obviously, you are going to find a better display on the Samsung phones or the Nexus devices, or I guess, yeah, devices. But at least on the Galaxy Nexus. But it is pretty nice, and you won't be disappointed with it. Also, I'll talk a little bit about the CPU. It is quite snappy. There was no there was a little bit of lag gaming, but it wasn't too bad at all. And the 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon handles it quite well. There is a little bit of lag when you're switching screens. But it's not annoying, and it's not something that you're really going to notice. It's not much different than most phones, so that shouldn't bother you. But if you are a really heavy phone gamer, then you may want to look into something with a quad-core CPU. But this should handle most of your needs. So for storage on this phone, there are 16 gigabytes on board, and there's no SD card slot, which is something that annoyed me a lot. I don't mind when companies don't offer an SD card slot. I'm coming from, I'm used to using an iPhone which doesn't have that, which is fine. I know they want you to buy the upgrade. But this phone only comes in a 16 gigabyte model. Therefore, you have no option to upgrade. So All I can say is to HTC, if you want to offer, if you don't want to put an SD card slot in, fine, I don't care. But at least offer a 32 gigabyte version, because for a lot of people 16 gigabytes just isn't going to be enough storage. Yes, you do get 25 gigabytes of Dropbox storage for 2 years, but you can't access that locally. It's not the same. It's not, it just isn't. So something that really, really bothered me, and I think that they should fix. So this phone is running Ice Cream Sandwich. HTC has said that they're going to update to Jelly Bean in the near future, but we haven't quite seen that yet. So if it does happen, it probably won't be for a while. But for now, Ice Cream Sandwich is what you're going to find on this device. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the lack of menu button. There's no menu button. Instead of like the Samsung devices, they did, instead of the back button, home button, and menu button, they did back button, menu button, and multitasking. And in Samsung, you just hold down the home button. The reason this is a problem is because when you go to an app that requires a home button that hasn't been updated, like, let's do Quadrant, like this, you get this annoying little button in the bottom, which takes up screen real estate, and it takes up screen. So I would have much. I know. They're trying to phase out the home button on Android devices, but we're just not quite to that point yet. So it would have been very nice if they had included a home button down there, or done it like the Nexus devices or the stock Android, where it's actually on the screen. But that it's not a deal breaker, but it is quite annoying. So data speeds, we'll do a speed test. Obviously this won't this won't be the same for everyone, but this is on Telus HPS PA+. This is off the Edmonton servers. So, you know, we're getting about 13 megabits down and 41 up. So, So, I mean, not bad. That's on HSP+. The One X does have LTE, so if LTE is a big deal to you, I'd recommend going for the One X or the Galaxy S3. Again, there's that annoying menu button there. And most of the time for apps, it doesn't even do anything. It's just there, which is another annoying thing. Obviously, that is the fault of the app developers, but they could have included a home button and it wouldn't be there. So, something that actually really did bother me. So I'll show you, I did a test on Quadrant, and I took a screenshot. We'll just have to find the gallery. So I mean, it was right below the HTC One X, so it was pretty dang close. So we got the HTC One X, the Transformer Prime, this is your device, Transformer Prime, Atrix 4G, Galaxy Tab, Galaxy Nexus. So I mean, significant increases on that, but so I mean, at least on paper, this phone is an extremely capable device. So I'll talk about the One X the Beats Audio for a little bit. It has this little, when you're playing music on headphones or speakers, it'll have this little thing where you can turn on Beats Audio. It's really just a marketing thing. I mean, all I could notice a difference is it sounded a little bit better and a little more bass, and it was a little louder. That's basically all it did. But they do advertise this Beats Audio speaker, which, I mean, I think Beats headphones are so overpriced and not worth it in any way, shape, or form. But this speaker did sound quite nice. It didn't get as loud as my Nexus S, at least, but it did sound a little nicer, and there was a lot of bass. So if you are someone that does use your cell phone speaker, and all the HTC devices come with this now, so HTC devices in general may be something to look into. Also, one more thing I wanted to complain about is the button, or not the button, the micro USB, and the headphone jack are like headphone jacks on the top. This is on the side. It's really awkward. It's not as awkward as if you have this on the bottom, and then if you have headphones and charging it, it's so awkward because you got these two cables. I think they both belong on the bottom, but you know, what are you gonna do, I guess? But in my opinion, they belong on the bottom. So this phone in Canada, at least on Telus, which is the one this phone is locked to, is selling for, it's free on a 3-year contract, and off contract I believe is about $600. But I believe you can get them unlocked on eBay and various other resellers for about $400 to $450. So it is a pretty budget. It's not like a budget phone, but it's a lower cost phone, but you still get some solid specs. So do I recommend this phone? Yes, if you don't want to pay anything for your initial 3-year contract price. If you want to find a free phone with the $50 a month plan on at least Telus Mobility, I can't guarantee other carriers, but other carriers, they are less than $50. So if you're worried about your initial contract price, absolutely, I recommend this phone over every other phone they have. If you don't mind spending a little bit more money, I do recommend probably the One X or even the Galaxy S3. Just because, I mean, the One X just has slightly better specs. It's got a 4.7-inch screen, which is nice. And conversely, the S3 has an SD card slot and an option to upgrade storage, which is a big deal for a lot of people. So, I can recommend this phone for a certain type of person. It's not for everyone. It's going to be for those certain type of people, unfortunately. But it is a nice phone, and I can recommend it if you're looking for a cheaper phone. Anyways, guys, this is my review of the HTC One X. I'd like to thank HTC for sending this phone for review. Please give this video a thumbs up so we can get more phones in the future to review. And I'll see you guys next time.